This is the Harrington jacket, often associated with skinheads, punks and hooligans. At least that's how I always thought about the Harrington jacket. But this is also the Harrington jacket, a sportswear piece originally designed for golf, widely embraced by Ivy League prep styles and the upper class. So I was wondering, how did skinheads and punks, subcultures that are known for being anti-establishment and counter-consumerism, how did they end up adopting a jacket that is known for being upper-class leisure wear? Let's find out. The story of the Harrington jacket starts in 1973 in Manchester with the brothers Isaac and John Miller. They have a clothing company called Barracuda where they produce rainwear for brands like Burberry, Aquascotum, but also Marks and Spencer. So they act only as suppliers, right? And business was good. Good enough for the brothers to afford a fairly expensive hobby. And on the golf courses of Manchester they discovered one problem. You see, at that time rainwear mostly consisted of long trench coats and mags. Completely impractical for taking a swing at golf. So they came up with a solution, a shorter rainproof jacket that provides higher mobility on the golf course. But they also wanted to expand the business beyond being a supplier, right? So they decided to sell directly to the consumer and skip out the middleman. And the result was their own jacket, the Barracuda G9, where G stands for golf and 9 for the 9-hole golf course. Although I thought a golf course usually has 18 holes. Nevertheless, the final design featured a rainproof fabric, back in the day it was cotton twill, ripped elastic cuffs and a signature umbrella back yoke for extra rain protection. However, Barracuda was not the only one who claimed the invention of this jacket. Another company by the name of Grenfell claims to have invented a golf jacket with a similar design in the early 1930s. What would probably made Barracuda stand out from the competition is the tartan lining, a design borrowed from the Fraser clan of the Scottish Highlands. Barracuda even received official permission to use it from Lord Lovat himself, a respected war hero at the time. And this tartan lining gave then the jacket a touch of military heritage and aristocracy. And so the G9 gained quickly popularity in the UK and even made its way to the US in the 1950s. And here it got a massive popularity boost because certain celebrities wore it during very popular movies. For example, James Dean wore it in A Rebel Without a Cause. And Elvis Presley wore it in King Creole. Another important wearer was a character in the TV show Peyton Place, Rodney Harrington, who frequently wore the jacket. Keep this in mind, this will be important later. By the way, if you enjoy this kind of stories about fashion history, please subscribe. This helps me out a lot, and especially for small YouTubers like myself, this has a major impact. If not, that's fine, let's get back to the story. So the G9 became a massive hit in the US and became especially popular with Ivy League prep students. Which makes sense, I mean it has a background in upper class styles and it was designed to be worn with shirts and sports coats. Alright, we've seen how the jacket was invented in the UK and how it became popular with American Ivy League students. But the real question is, why did skinheads and punks start to wear something that is considered upper class? To understand that, we need to have a look at the predecessors of the skinheads and the punks, a subculture called the mods. So the mods, or the modernists, were one of the first youth subcultures after World War II. And what is especially remarkable for me is that for the first time in history, youth had disposable income. This was due to a combination of several factors. So the ongoing rise of the industrialization, the end of World War I and II, but also the post-war prosperity of England. So apparently, for the first time in history, the youth didn't have to give up all of their hard-earned money to their families to provide, but could spend it on their own interests. And while the mods were mostly working-class youth, they aspired to symbols of status and wealth. So they spent the money on music records, going out, drugs, but also on expensive clothing, tailored suits, trench coats, but also Barracuda golf jackets. They also had an interesting thing for scooters, especially Vespas and Lambrettas, which became a huge part of the mod identity. Funnily, they were also modding the scooters a lot, which reminds me of a similar Japanese trend. So for the mods, the consumption of scooters and clothing, it was about being cool, it was about style. But even more, certain statement pieces like the Harrington jacket became a symbol of aspiration, upward mobility and status. But wait, up until now the jacket is actually still called the Barracuda G9. And only through a fun story which involves the whole history of the jacket, the new name emerged. Still remember Rodney Harrington from the TV series Peyton Place? There was a clothing store in London, the Ivy Shop, which specialized in Ivy League prep styles. That was especially popular with the mods, because they liked upper-class preppy styles, right? And one of the salesmen there, John Simmons, started to market the Barracuda golf jacket as the Rodney Harrington jacket. And the name stuck, especially with the mods with whom the shop was crazy popular. So the Harrington jacket evolved to be a central piece of the mod fashion style. And over the years, like with many other subcultures, the mods splintered into different movements, like the skinheads, suede heads, punks, but also rockers. And even though these groups developed their own distinct aesthetics, some of the mod fashion pieces still stuck around, including the Harrington jacket. What also helped to keep the jacket popular with the rebellious youth of the 80s and the 90s were certain musicians. Newer rock icons like Eric Clapton, Pete Townsend, and later bands like The Clash, Small Faces and Razorlight. And still today you can still see skinheads, punks, hooligans and other countercultures still rocking the Harrington jacket. At the same time, the jacket never left Ivy League prep fashion, making it one of those rare pieces that can exist in two complete opposite worlds. And if you are now thinking about getting one for yourself, here are some recommendations. Barracuda the OG still sells them, although it's a little bit pricey at around $400. Fred Perry is a popular option at $300. Ben Sherman, a solid option for $150. And if you would ship money, I would get this one by Private White VC. I hope you had as much fun watching the video as I had doing the research. And if you like those kind of stories, here's another one for you to check out.